this video, let's look at measures of centers, or another way of saying averages. All these three words here represent averages. The most common one that you're used to is technically called the mean. So our mean, if you like, we could say is an average. And the technical definition is it's the sum of all numbers, and the sum is represented by this fancy symbol called sigma, a letter in the Greek alphabet, and that's saying adding up all of the values that you've got and dividing it by the number of values. But in words, we write that. We would know how to work it out by the following. So to work out the mean, you would add up all the numbers that you have in a list, or adding up all the values and dividing by the total number of the numbers that you have there, or the total number of values. Sometimes you'll see this written as X with a line over the top, called X bar. Median, a way of remembering that is it's the number that's in the middle when they're in order. They must be in order. The way I remember that is the word median has 6 letters in it and middle has 6 letters, and they've both got a D in them. So that's how I remember that median is the middle, and the mode is the one that happens the most often. Again, I remember that they've both got 4 letters and they've both got an O in them. So mode is the number that happens the most. So let's try some of those. Just one extra note. If you're ever asked about outliers, they're numbers that are significantly smaller or larger than the rest of the data. So they lie out of the main set of data. So for this set of numbers here, we're asked to find the mean and the mode. So to find the mean, we're going to add up all the numbers that we have here. So essentially you're going to do 10 plus 2 and so on. And then you're going to divide by however many numbers are there. And counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 numbers, that's convenient. And that adds up to 90. So 90 divided by 10 is 9. You don't have to write out this set of numbers every time you do it, because you could have more than 10 numbers. Feel free to write the total and then divide by 10. You need to show some level of working out. Now the mode is the number that happens the most often. So you just have to use your observation skills. Is there a number that happens more than others? Yes, it's 15. It's possible that a set of numbers has 2 modes, 2 numbers that happen the most often, in which case that's called bimodal. But if all the numbers happen in the same frequency, perhaps a frequency of 1, then there is no mode perhaps in that. So these are both averages. It's a representation of not necessarily an exact number in the set, but around the center. Hence, this is called measures of center. And now if we're asked to find the median of a set of numbers. Now the median was the middle data set, but it has to be in order. So we need to take a minute and write these out in order. The lowest number is 1, then the next one is 2. You can put commas or just leave space. I'm going to cross these off as I go. So now that's my numbers in order. So what's the middle number? You just count in from either end until you find the number that's in the middle, or it might be 2 numbers. So sometimes you can just cross them off as you go, cross 1 off from each end, coming a bit further in. And this time around we have 13 is in the middle on its own. So what is the median of this? 13 is the median. You could just write 13, but it's nice to say what it is you're working out. So that's how to work out a median when it falls exactly on a number, just counting in. But what about when it's between 2 numbers? So to find the median, we've got to put them in order first. Our lowest number is 1, so let's go through and do that. So now we've got our set of numbers there, noticing we've got 2 19s. We're going to work out the middle number, so we're going to count in 1 from each end. So 1 from the ends, 2 from the ends, 3 into the middle. This time it doesn't fall exactly on a number, it falls between 9 and 10. So if you have to work out the median between 2 numbers, you have to take the average technically of those 2 numbers. And so you would add them up and divide by 2 to get halfway. So the median here is equal to 9 plus 10 divided by 2. I know you could probably do that in your head. 19 divided by 2 gives us 19.5. So the median doesn't have to be an exact number. It's a representation of the center. This is where the middle of this data set lies. That's how you do the median with two numbers. And when you get asked questions like this, where there's no list of numbers written out, we're asked to find the mean, median and mode from a frequency table. So here we have the number of cars perhaps going along a quiet road and how often that happens, I don't know, in a particular time frame. So there's the frequency of no cars happens 4 times. How would you write that out? That means there's 4 lots of 0. So if you ever get a frequency table and you have to do these questions, you need to write out at this level of maths, your set of numbers. That'll make it really easy for you to do. So I'm going to write that set out. I said there were 4 zeros. Next, there are 5 times 1 car happened. There are 4 times 2 cars. So that's 4 lots of 2 and 2 lots of 3. And so now I've got all of those numbers written out. So how do we work out the mean? You add them all up. What have we got there? 19 for our mean. If you add those numbers up and divide by how many numbers are there, 4 is 8, plus 2 is 10, we've got 15, and that comes out to be 1.26 recurring actually, if you've got your calculator there. So we either put a dot or a line on the 6 to show that it continues on, or you could round to 1.27. I'll write that, 1.27. What about the median? The middle number has to be in order. Well, it is in order, so that's helpful. So let's count in. Sometimes we count in a few at a time. So I've landed on 1 for my median. So the median is equal to 1. And the mode is the number that happens the most often. You can see it there, or you could see it here. 1 had a frequency of 5. Don't write 5. That's how often it happened. The number that happens the most often is 1. Just to recap what we've talked about there, the mean, or sometimes that's just the average, you add them all up and divide by how many numbers are there. The median is the middle value when the numbers are in order. And if there are 2 middle values, then you take the average between those 2. The mode is the number that happens the most often, or the highest frequency, and there can be more than one mode, then that's called bimodal. And an outlier is a number that happens significantly away from the data set. There is a mathematical way to work that out, but we don't have the skills for that. That'll come at another time. So that's our video on measures of center.